So I say we've obviously just finished the demo. Right. Okay, so the girls have just finished their speeches now in the demo. Very successful turnout with a lot of really good information. So first of all, Kim, how do you think it went today?
I think it went all right. I'm a bit disappointed with the turnout. I think it's time now to get the numbers up.
It
Now,
is.
we're not dealing with an opinion issue. This is a fact. People need to get their facts and they need to get on top of it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Absolutely, and obviously you got both of you got a big reaction from the crowd, a lot of clapping, a lot of whistling. You know, how did it feel? Obviously, because I think it was a bit of a special moment for both of you today with the crowd reaction.
Well, I think, to be honest, I think when we start speaking from our hearts rather than off our papers, that is when we seem to have the reactions. And I think most people would agree that sexual abuse shouldn't be wrapped up under sex education. Protection and safeguarding of children are two separate things to sex education. And it was good to hear that that's what other people also recognise.
And I've always found that whenever I watch politicians speak, it's always when they're speaking passionately and off the cuff rather than a bit of paper that you get the best reaction, because people know you're speaking the truth and what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, Stan, you obviously came to the last one. What would you say today?
Well, it's been a successful day, but my question is, why drop subjects and replace them when you've already got a failing education system? In Wales, we're fourth in the United Kingdom, and the kids need to understand reading and writing and arithmetic first before anything else. So that's one point. The second point is, why is the senedd not asking the experts? Because these are not only mums, but they're also
highly trained.
Yeah. Well, what are your qualifications? You did on another video.
I'm a criminologist. I'm a graduate in criminology, graduate in social policy. I got a special qualifications in child sex abuse, child sex exploitation, harmful sexual behaviour, barriers to disclosure, perpetrators of abuse, models of offending. So this is my field. This is my passion is crimes against kids or kids that offend. So that is, because I've got a criminal justice background myself. So this is me anyway. This is my niche. This is what I know, and this is it. You know, this is. I can see stuff in these documents that other people can't, and that's what I struggle with. I have to go back to these documents just to refresh my memory to give a video to the people, and it's hard. It's hard because I don't just see what parents see. I see what a criminologist should see and what a safeguarder should see. Adele, she's on the psychology side of it, and we also Dr. Gail John, a doctor in adverse childhood experiences. We're a multidisciplinary team, which children need is multidisciplinary. So the fact that we've come together to provide this wholesome package, they should be taking note of us. Yeah, they should.
Yeah, absolutely. And like yourself, what your words, what you were saying there, when you got the first, the crowd went, nuts for you, and they're hearing that passion. Why do you think, that maybe people aren't coming to these? Like there was, I said earlier on, the quality of the people was excellent. It's the quantity of the people that are lacking. What's scaring
I think one is confidence. I think many people lack the confidence to speak out. As we see in social media, people are extremely confident while sat behind their phones or sat behind their computers, and they feel that they can express their problems within the schools at the moment, especially then when they're getting support from other parents agreeing with them. But yet then they don't seem to have the confidence and it's that mentality of somebody else will deal with it. I'll just sit back and wait and somebody else will deal with it. It will all having faith in a system that just somebody else will sort it out, and that's it's simply not the case. And also
I want to add to that, and said you think somebody else will sort it out. I'll be honest with you, when I first seen the sexual stimulation in England last September, that was me. Somebody else will sort it out.
I did the same.
I just thought it would devolve government, so I totally agree with what Adele's saying there. People do think other people sort out, but this is too important. This is too important to let other people sort out.
I was exactly the same.
Do you think that this should be delayed simply because we've not got the democratic infrastructure? We cannot go and see our AMs. They're not returning phone calls. They're not returning letters. We can't go into the senedd. it should be delayed. But
I
also,
think that was against before lockdown. They never replied
But
to anything, did
even,
they?
but even with that, many parents, again, I think you're saying what's stopping people from coming here today? COVID.
Yeah.
COVID is stopping people from coming here today. The parents that we need to come and stand by us are terrified of COVID. They're terrified of what we do. I've got my own friends and certain families that don't want to see me for a week after I've come to a demo because I've been around people. And even explaining to them that we're up on the stage.
but is it right to have such an important policy that's going to last for decades and you cannot get in to see these people?
And we can't get in to see them, but we can't talk to parents either, because not just parents, any adults, because all anybody's consumed with right now is COVID. So trying to even address them on another topic, it's not happening because their minds are just in this one bubble at the moment, and we're not penetrating that bubble.
So there's two things that I think that need to happen. One is to delay this, but the second one is to not whip the AMs so that they have a free vote, because at that point, then each one can have individual pressures from their own schools and their own areas, and they can feed into their AMs who were elected by the people. They weren't elected to be whipped.
That's another good point, Stan. This goes for all around the UK now, not just Wales. We've seen emails where people, the MPs and AMs, have responded saying we will support our party.
I got this is a councillor from my town. I said, why have we only got one councillor? And he emailed me and he said, I've told you that I support you. I just can't speak out about it. Nobody's going to listen to me. Absolutely. And that's fear or knowledge. Again, we have so many people who say to us, we totally support you, and I want to spread this message too, but I'm not confident in what I'm saying. I'm not confident in the information. And this is the same for the councillors. They don't want to put it out there because they're not confident. And we need you to research this stuff. We need you to read these documents, because only then, when people are comfortable and understanding the information that they have read, then, like myself, you will be able to speak about it freely.
But if this is such a popular measure and it's designed to safeguard children, then everybody would be in favour of it. You would not need to whip. You would not need to have this debate because people would be clapping. Instead, we're having to have groups, and they're having disinformation published at the crack of midnight.
This is the best part of it all, Stan, because as I've said, myself and Adele are strangers, okay? But we were strangers, right? But in our own lives, we support sex education, we support children's rights. These are the things that we champion for, safeguarding and things like that. So we champion for these things, and all of a sudden we're saying no. So why are we all of a sudden saying no, Stan? Why are we all of a sudden saying no? Because we know it's dangerous. We know what we're dealing with here. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, if this was what they said it was, okay, we'd run it to the Queen ourselves. We'd run it to the Queen ourselves and have it to sign it now, This is dangerous. This is not for us.
I've been speaking out for years now, saying that our sex education needs to be improved, especially in secondary, with the access to pornography. But not just that, I feel there needs to be a big push on, this seems to be a push on teenagers being liberal and going for it, where I feel there needs to be more of a push on girls and young girls going, this is my body. And I don't feel any need to give any of it to you right now. This should be about empowering about one own self, but this framework is all about sex, and that's not about sex, it's about changing. If you are not comfortable as you, well then you could be XYZ.
But
there's no individuality.
Which again is dangerous, because I'm a mother of a distal needs child, and so who has always felt uncomfortable, who has always felt like the oddball, he's autistic, So I like to promote inclusion and things like that. Now, what if my son was given a different opportunity? Or maybe you would feel happier if you explored a different gender. Where could we be now? Where would we be now, you know? And there's a lot of dangerous stuff going on here. One of the first things that strikes me is these children aren't encouraged to be comfortable in their own skin.
Yeah.
That is a massive thing for me. Like, people talk about equality. I don't believe in equality, because if we had a box here now all to stand on, I'm still going to be the shortest, okay? I promote inclusion, and I think people are very confused with the difference in that. Do you know what I mean? And that's what people need to start looking at now, is inclusion, individuality, celebrating difference, and giving these kids the confidence to love who they are.
And people need to know the difference between equality and equal opportunity.
Yes.
There's a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and equality, especially equality between genders, it's an impossible task to fill.
Yeah.
You know, if you want that, then we need to take half the men out of prison and put half the women in.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's you know, there's equality in it, but equal opportunities is very different to making sure that everybody is treated equal.
Yeah.
And this global again, that's a one. Why do we need all the children on this planet programmed to one ideology around sex?
But a lot
Because
of them
that
haven't
is
got
what
running
it's going to
water.
be.
A lot of them on this education haven't got running water. You know, they got poverty stricken, but they've got this education because they were forced to have it. They'd lose their funding. They can't threaten us to lose our funding here. Do you know what I mean? We are the ones that found other countries. They can't threaten us in our way. We have to fight it.
Yeah.
You know, we ain't held over a barrel.
No.
They tried to hold us over a barrel, but we're not going to allow that.
Yeah. And why did you pick today? Because obviously I know there's something going on in there today. Obviously 15. What's happening there today? What are they debating today?
They're debating the points of the curriculum bill and voting whether to go to stage 2 or not. And like Stan said about postponing things, they're rushing it through.
Of course, yeah.
That's why they pulled out petition early. He's even told us that as well, because, and they're getting ready to dissolve Parliament, ready for the election. So they want to rush this through, and that's it.
Do you think, I was going to say earlier on to you, but obviously COVID is stopping a lot of people coming out. Are they using COVID as a political styling tool?
Well,
You know, are they
100%.
using it to
The
help
point
these things
is,
down?
was this in their manifesto? It wasn't.
There's
And
a
so
number of it.
why has it suddenly popped up now and they're pushing it through?
Yeah. Well, look at the other-
It's
look at
the
the other
same
rates.
with the voting,
Voting age.
the
Yeah,
voting
yeah.
age, and other measures as well that we won't.
We don't need to go into it now, but there's so many different things that they're doing on manifesto.
I'm just constantly researching. I'm always looking for stats. I'm always looking for figures. I'm looking for the evidence that these things are working. And I was quite surprised to be reading this research paper, and it was around gender and phases that we've moved through and with sex education. And it's saying all sex education and gender ideologies have all been politically driven.
Yeah.
Depending on what is going on will then depend on how the governments then are pushing and swinging these ideologies.
Yeah.
And yes, we need inclusion, and yes, you know, children need to know that, you know, this comes into relationships.
Yeah.
And inclusive, we don't need to separate which people children should be caring about. If it's just taught that it is for all, everybody is to respect it, no matter of X, Y, and Z. Not pointing. We don't need to point out individual groups that all need respect.
No, they don't need labels. When you teach a child to respect, to love, and to be kind, they accept everyone.
Label
They accept
free.
everyone, yeah.
Label free.
Label
We've gone
free.
from
we already-
wanting to remove labels to adding millions.
Yeah.
We already know that kids are the cruelest people in the world.
Because they're brutally honest.
This is what we want. We want children to act out. We want children to speak out. And going back to our sexual stimulation part, where they programming children, right, not to sexually stimulate in a classroom. They programmed the child not to do it. Now we want the child to act out. The child is being abused will act out. Will behave in that way towards another child and towards an adult. We've just programmed that child not to act out. We're telling children differentiate between good and bad secrets. No. Kids are supposed to drop you in it. It is not supposed to be any secrets, okay? If you've got a secret, you don't tell a child.
Yeah,
I once
you're right.
I once remember being in a queue, a butcher's queue, and it was the matron of the local hospital, and everyone was quiet in the queue, and the little child said, Mum, when you hit me, it really hurts. And of course, everybody burst out laughing.
Yeah.
The truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the matron
Yeah.
said, she went, oh, she flushed up, she said, I just tapped the back of your leg for God's sake.
Yeah.
But from the kid it
Yeah.
sounded
Yeah,
as
but at the same point, you know, in a situation, can I just say on terminology, a big thing which is being said, and this particular thing, I've seen it passed around Facebook so many times, is, you know, in regards to terminology, which we're saying is biology, obviously.
Yeah.
And again, this is where I'm saying, well, if that didn't work, this is how we're showing that safeguarding fails. And people keep using this example that a child went to its teacher and told the teacher how her uncle is licking her cookie. And the teacher says, oh, very nice, off you go and play. And this is the example being used as to why kids need to use their terminology. Now, we know, everybody knows that most parents don't call a penis and a vagina or a vulva those words. It's going to come under a multitude of words. So a teacher also knows it. So if safeguarding and correct procedures being put in place, that teacher should know that, shouldn't be waiting for a child to only use the word vagina or vulva to them. And if a child is saying to a teacher, my uncle keeps licking my cookie, but then we've got a safeguarding it. It isn't the child needs to know the word vagina. Is that adult needs to know that that sentence is a bit unusual.
Yeah.
You probe into it when you think.
What do you mean your uncle
One question.
licks your cookie?
yeah.
You know, ask him to have his own cookies,
Yeah.
to eat his own. One simple question will just probe that
Yeah.
that conversation
yeah.
along a little bit. So it isn't. If those who are there to protect the children are safeguarded in it properly, these little trigger words, they should already go, well, that's unusual. Uncles don't go licking children's cookies. So that should have been a trigger straight away.
Yeah.
I myself was in a school the other day. I'm obviously not going to mention which one or anything like that. I rang him straight after it. I'd already spoken to the teachers as soon as it was said to me. I'm in a class with an 8-year-old. And this 8-year-old's having a conversation. It's gone a bit balls and farts and nuts, you know, between these 8-year-old boys. Until the one 8-year-old boy then says how, he mentions another child's name and says how he's watching Pornhub. This is an 8-year-old boy. This was 2 weeks ago. And I've sat in the class and I've got these 3 boys on my own, and I was like, you know, oh yeah, well, so-and-so in our class says that he watches Pornhub. Of course, I've gone straight to the teacher then afterwards. This is the conversation. I rang him when I've got home going, it's not sitting right with me, so I've emailed the school back the next day saying, you know, are you know, taking what I've said, you know, and they reassured me that yes, you know, this is being dealt with. But you know, these are
the teacher was like, maybe I should let's like.
But the teacher initially was kind of like, oh, maybe I should bring the parent. You know, to me, the second it was said, it was immediate. But you could tell the teacher was a little bit unsure on what to do with that information.
But in fact, what happened with the 2 the case?
Yeah.
Because that was all down to horror films and watching murder films, wasn't it?
Well,
That's
it's
what
not
they
just
say.
down to that.
Okay.
It obviously can have an influence, and you know, children don't tend to just, especially 10-year-old children, don't tend to just, well, they don't, do they? They don't just go around killing other children. So, you know, there's a lot in that in terms of influences, environment, culture, you know, even down to mental health. And again, as somebody who studied psychology as well, we know that not all brains are wired the same way. And some people are lacking certain controls in their brains which stop them from doing it. Now, I am not in any way, can I say, defending Jamie Bolger's killers here. But we can't also point that these things happen because of one reason. It's a multitude of things.
Yeah.
You
And it's
know?
also a multitude of failures as well.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it
Absolutely.
would take one
Failures
person
by-
to report, and then somebody in a conversation in the teacher staff room think, oh, that's funny because he did that, and then
Again, silence kills. You've only got to look how far those boys walked with Jamie Bolger.
They walked past
How
other
many
people.
people they walked past.
Yeah.
This boy was distressed, and yet
Only
nobody
one-
came to the help
No,
of this boy.
one stopped and asked, was he all right, and that was it, you know.
So, and this is the same thing, and this is no difference to. I've been programming my daughter. I don't want to scare her, but she's got to know the truth. But I've even spoken to her in saying, darling, if your friends ever tell you that any of those things that I've told you can't happen to you, it's happening to them, then I need you to come and tell. Tell me.
Yeah.
And you know, this is what needs to happen.
I'll be honest, it's a real shame because when you were saying about the teachers there, I would have thought that part of training to be a teacher would be the safeguarding of the children. I would have thought that is the primary role of a teacher, to always make sure, no matter what you're teaching, that child is safe and you're able to spot that cookie thing.
It's also their interpretation, and you're going to, as with all walks of people, those who are more switched on than others.
Yeah.
And even you can have 30 teachers in the same safeguarding course, and you might have a certain percent of them which is going, oh my god, and they're going to go into the classroom, that's all going to stay there, and they're going to spot these little things. But then you're going to have 3/4 which actually that information isn't going to stay there, they've already forgotten about it. And I don't want to generalise, but most teachers come from stable backgrounds.
Yeah.
They come from 2-parent relationships, often got 4 grandparents.
Yeah.
You know, they've done all right in school. They've gone to, you know, most things have gone all right. Again, I don't mean to generalise, but for teachers, so many don't have that life experience of trauma or of a childhood that suffered. And you know, for many of us, and we're all stood here in the crowd, most have had something happen within their life or within their family that has triggered something for them to know that yes.
But don't forget, at the top of this, the primary thing that all teachers and educators should remember is that they are in place of the parent, loco parentis. We have given them the power to look after my child, and therefore they should always think that if that sounds wrong, it might sound wrong to the parents, and report it.
Yeah.
People say as well about, again, I don't like to say this, but
Can I just go back to safeguarding a minute? I've done the safeguarding training that the social services done. The reason why I know I've done it is because I've shown on my certificate that I'm doing the skills to foster course. And they said that's the same one I do. That was a 6-hour training course in the youth offending team, 6 hours. What did I learn from that? Not a lot. What have I learned? I've learned through my independent study, my independent research, my wanting to know. I want to know how many female offenders are out there because the statistics don't match it. So independent research, independent study, independent tasks works. You don't sit in a room for 6 hours, you have posh sandwiches and a cup of tea. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. And I tell you as well, most of them on their phones throughout there. That does not work. And you, Sam, you were telling me, and asked when I give a speech about the teacher training. Before this come up, we will write in a level 4 syllabus on teacher training for additional needs, okay? Based on the simple fact that my son, when he was first diagnosed, the class read a book and it was all dogs got ADHD. So those kids are the age of 6 now, all through their schooling, that same class of kids, right, understood my son because they sat and read a book together. You know, and it's important that it needs to be there. It needs to be ingrained into absolutely everyone. Because even when we've got people with these qualifications, right, and they go into schools, they haven't got the skills for additional needs. That's additional training, and they're only few hours. Few hours. It's not in depth, and who's going to deliver it? Oh, it might be NSPCT today, it might be Bernardo's tomorrow. You need people that's not relaying information to you. You need people that's making you look for information, that's making you want to look and want to find. You know. It's like dictating something to somebody. You know, it's no. What impact is that having?
We're going to wrap it up now, but I just want to say that when I said about Jamie Bulger, and you instantly corrected me, and that's why these are experts, and that's why these lot need to listen to them.
And this is that's what I was just going to say is that, you know, they're telling us that they've got experts researching on this, and again, when it comes, especially when it comes to sexual abuse, you can't have people who don't understand it themselves writing the policy on it. And you can't have the people who don't understand it themselves protect the ones that are protecting the children from it. It can't work.
And you had two very powerful speakers at the last.
Yeah.
Who had,
Vivian.
was it
Three,
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
three. I can't
Yeah, we
Council
had
ladies.
Vivian, Dr. Gale, and obviously
Yeah.
Byron.
who've
Jones.
experienced that, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
You've got a really broad team, and you've got
Experienced team as
you've
well.
got an experienced team.
You
from
need to be able to protect children from abuse. You need to be able to look through the eyes of an abuser. And that's how we're looking at these documents, through the eyes of an abuser. And what we can see is opportunities throughout it. Oh, that'll
Or
work.
entrapment.
That'll work.
Entrapment program in a child to be. What I see is, right, so I'm looking for spontaneous areas of disclosure, right? So spontaneous area of disclosure would be a child acting out in the classroom then. So that's disappeared. It's gone. So for me, because that spontaneous disclosure's gone, for me that document's no good. Absolutely no good. And I'm not going past that. I'm not going any further into that document. I mean, I can see about disclosure. Nobody else in this country's picking up on it. That's good enough for me. It's not coming in. You know? So don't tell me it's safeguards when you don't even know what barrier to disclosure is. And keep asking them, where's the barrier to disclosure in this statement? What's the barrier to disclosure?
Yeah.
But you're the safeguarders, you know? You are to be
You're
safeguarders.
the child commissioner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
And you guys
Yeah.
are
Hello.
confused.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Just spreading misinformation
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's ridiculous now. And
It is.
We're not we're not gonna stop this fight.
No.
You know.
And what's the next one? Obviously, for the guys who's going to be watching this, what's your next plan? What's you got a big demo coming up?
5th of February now, we're going to be back down here. Like I said, we need everybody, no matter what your discrepancy is
People
with
need to have a day off
education.
work for this, right? It's as simple as that. We need to fetch this country to a standstill.
Yeah.
We're going to have all the great speakers back here on the 5th. We might have a nice big surprise for everyone as well. We hope that goes through. We want to make this matter. It's got to matter, right?
Yeah.
People need to see how serious it is.
This is your children's education. The education bill hasn't changed in 20 years. Like Kim said, take a day off.
This
Because
is
this is your
this is a
kid's
generation. If this
education.
goes through, this is a generation.
Yeah.
And it needs to not
Yeah.
go through.
It's the dance of innocence.
Whether it's
It is.
whether it's a
Yeah.
delay
Yeah.
until the COVID has finished, or whether it's not to be whipped.
Yeah. Yeah. It shouldn't
That'll
even be being
finish it off.
discussed.
No.
If I'm honest, the fact it's even being discussed shows that the people
Yeah.
discussing it aren't fit for
And
purpose
we
and they're
don't
not
want anything in
representatives.
place when we've still got a stack of A4 pages full of questions that they still can't answer us yet.
Yeah.
And we can't stand with we'll answer these questions after we've passed this as a law. No way.
chance.
Not
chance.
at all.
No chance. And that's exactly it. And like Kim just said there, you don't need to take a day off work for this. People say, I'm working, I can't, I got this, I got that. Well, when it happens, it's going to be because the lack of people standing up. The reason why they do these things is because people not turning up gives them a license to. You
Yeah.
know, if there was 500 people here today, they'd think twice.
Yeah.
Last time you had a demo here, that night they put a point in to instantly try and discredit you.
Yeah.
To launch an investigation into you. It just
Yeah.
shows they're scared.
They want to launch a campaign to counteract our campaign. Don't need to.
No.
Just answer the questions.
Come by here.
Yeah.
Just
Right
answer
here,
the
stand in
questions.
front of here and just debate us. Don't even have to debate us. Talk to us.
Yeah.
The thing is,
Yeah.
Come and talk to us.
we've got such simple questions, right? No basic safeguarding questions that everybody should know, and they don't. And this is why we don't repeat them. We don't repeat them too much because people might pick up on them. They're so simple. We only mention them now and again because
Yeah.
we want to show how incompetent they are.
Yeah, yeah.
A children's commissioner that thinks the child can consent to sex is a children's commissioner that doesn't know what's rape. That's not a children's commissioner, I'm sorry.
And just before you wrap that up, because just with that consent, because I know what people's responses are going to be. People's responses are going to be, but a child should be able to consent who takes it to the bathroom. A child should be able to consent if another child's holding its hand. Or we've even had one, a child should be able to consent who's changing his nappy.
But that's
We won't
nothing
go
to do
down
with
that.
sex. That's nothing to do with
So
sex.
you can't put that kind of consent into the same
No.
area of sex education. Because if you are teaching them consent about all these other things, that you are teaching them that consent applies to sex
Yeah,
as well,
yeah,
where
yeah.
it does not. Blanket, no one touches you.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
all
yeah.
they need to know. Not
Yeah.
if someone's touching them gently, not if someone's touching them nicely, not if they've said it's okay. No one touches them.
Simple as that.
Spot on.
And it's that
Spot on.
simple.
Yeah.
It is that simple.
And if you guys disagree with that, make sure you were here on the 5th.
Yeah,
5th
and
of
the thing
February.
is, even if they do agree with this sex education, come and tell us why.
Yeah.
Come and tell us why then.
Yeah.
Come and tell us
Have a
why we're
counteract
wrong.
us.
Yeah.
Come and tell us why we're
I can
wrong.
certainly tell you, the people who have imitated us, they're the copycats, Antifa basically, they've rebranded the Voice of Wales. They've been, I think you posted it, you commented
Yeah.
on one of their articles the other day, saying about how you were all in the wrong. Do you mean
Yeah.
you're in the wrong, you don't know what you're doing, they know what they're doing, and they're
Yeah.
celebrating the fact that what's happening is happening.
And all
You know?
the people that are just sending us policies. This is what's in my school. No, it's not. That's what's in your school right now. And
Yeah.
if you are so happy with what's in your school right now, why do you need this?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Why, if you are so happy with this PHSE that is in schools right now, why do we need this?
Yeah.
So-
Absolutely.
Exactly that.
Absolutely. So guys, 5th February, really important. It's probably the most important thing going on in Wales at the moment. You have to be here. I'm sorry. This needs to be full. I'd
It
say
has
you
to
could
be
easily
full.
get over
Yeah.
1,000 people here.
Yeah.
You've got over 5,000 people on your page. We've
Yeah.
got over 4,000 subs on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's 9,000 people in total. Surely we can get
Not
1,000
just that,
people.
I
there.
also had such a good following and turnout for the demos and peaceful walks I held for Freedom for the Children UK against child abuse. I need all of you, all those people that supported that as well, that supported being against child abuse. We need you down here, not just parents, just everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody knows a child.
Yeah.
And what's even worse, everybody knows a child who's being sexually abused.
Yeah.
You just don't know
Yeah.
that you know a child that is being sexually abused. But every single person knows a child who's being sexually abused.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, ladies, like I've said many
Thank
times
you.
on the live, your message is the most important in Wales at the moment. I don't
Thank
care.
you.
We will throw our full weight behind you guys.
Thank
and
you.
Yeah,
support
we really
to make sure we
appreciate
fill
your
this.
support.
We're
Thank
on
you
the
very much.
5th. Ladies, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.